Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
The Acolyte is breaking Star Wars. The Acolyte is making new Star Wars. The Acolyte is great. The Acolyte is terrible. The Acolyte is progressive. The Acolyte is virtue signaling woke trash. The Acolyte is a reminder of everything wrong with modern Star Wars. The Acolyte is a reminder of everything wrong with Star Wars fans. The Acolyte is a Disney Plus Star Wars show, and the latest production that has divided the internet on its merit, its purpose, message, and overall quality. But who is right in this argument? Is there any point in the argument at all? While there is a middle ground of people with a wider range of opinions on modern Star Wars, enjoying and disliking things based on their ever-dividing preference, the majority of people involved in this conversation of The Acolyte are more so people who feel that modern Star Wars is in a good place versus people who feel that modern Star Wars has lost its way. I myself don't have much of any strong feelings on The Acolyte or Star Wars as a whole anymore. I'm excited for Visions Volume 3 because I love anime like the filthy weeb I am, and Andor Season 1 impressed me with its overall quality to be invested in seeing how the series ends with its second season. But for the most part, Star Wars has been in my rearview mirror as I explore different stories that better fit the experience I'm looking to have in the media I invest my time in. You see, after you turn 100 years old, you begin to become more selective on the media you experience. Nevertheless, the heated and passionate debates I've been seeing all over the internet from people who either sworn off involving themselves in Star Wars discourse or have walked away from the franchise entirely has ironically made me want to see why people love or hate the series feel this way. So rather than taking one side, I want to explore the two main opinions that a divided audience has on the series and allow you, the viewer, to give your opinion if you care to on The Acolyte, if you've seen it or if you agree with either side of the argument. You know, whatever you feel like doing.
Are ya ready, kids? Oh!
Since the sweet is never as sweet without the sour, let's start with the negative camp first. So many have only clicked on this video for that purpose anyway, so let's not edge them too much, lest they explode all over themselves and coat their keyboards with this frustration. One side of the argument feels negatively about The Acolyte, but for the sake of avoiding repetition, I'm not going to bring up any social political reasons anyone may dislike the series for. Likewise, in the case of liking the series for social political reasons as well. You've probably heard your fair share of social political reasons to hate or love The Acolyte, so I doubt there's anything worth saying in that regard that you already haven't heard 1,000 times over again at this point. I am, however, late to the party, but I was at Westeros hanging out with Damon and Otto, so I apologize.
Yes.
Beyond that, I'm of the opinion that social political politics, like diversity representation, don't make or break any story. At the end of the day, stories are built from quality of writing. It doesn't matter if you put romance, mystery, horror, politics, or action in your story. If the writing is bad, nothing will save it. Likewise, if the writing is great, nothing will bring it down. These elements of storytelling have been around far before modern media, and their inclusion in a story is dependent on if the writer knows how to implement them well. The issues some people are taking with the story of The Acolyte, and when I say some people, I do mean the people who are approaching the story with an open mind and bringing constructive criticism, is in regards to the handling of the mystery plot of the series, the dialogue and direction that they feel is questionable, and the addition/changes to the lore that they feel harm other stories in the franchise and undermine certain characters, like Anakin Skywalker. Some people feel like the series should have left the Sith, the Immaculate Conception of Life, and certain legacy characters out of the series. There is a divide in regards to even people who criticize the series, some who dislike the concepts of the show on premise, feeling that certain concepts even existing in the story break the narrative, while others in the same critical camp take more issues with the execution of the concepts rather than the premise alone. This problem some people are having is the risk many franchises suffer as time goes on and new writers want to put their own spin on already established universes and lore. You often see this in many modern comic book movies or any franchise that has gone over a couple decades. There is another faction in this argument of criticism that don't take any issue with lore, concepts, or the themes of the series, but feel that the overall execution of the series leaves much to be desired, and suffers from similar problems most Disney Plus shows suffer from: short episode runtimes, short seasons, and a production value that does not reflect its rather large budget, given many recent movies and shows have done more with the same budget or even less. On the other side of the argument, there are those that enjoy the series for what it is. Their position is that it is refreshing to finally enter an era of Star Wars that is not set within the Skywalker saga, and not having to deal with the factions that have dominated much of the modern stories of the franchise, like the Empire, First Order, Stormtroopers, and Fallen Skywalkers. There are those who have been waiting for the High Republic to go from its predominantly print stories to a visual medium in order to connect better with this new era that does not have its connection tight to the Skywalker saga and its timeline as many of the other Disney Plus shows that have been slotted somewhere within the ever-shrinking canon. Then you have the people who don't really care where the show is set, who the factions are, but they are enjoying the new cast of characters and their actors. The actor behind Jedi Master Soul has received praise across the board, even from people who have been very critical of the series for his nuanced performance, and even going as far as to learn English to be in the series. That is a level of dedication many people have shown appreciation for, regardless of their feelings on the show, which admittedly is very good in the conversation if you ask me. The only opinion I will give on the Acolyte personally, the fact that an actor can do so well in a role that both people who like and dislike the series find enjoyment in him. And there has been a good deal of praise from the enjoyers of the show for Daphne Keene's role in the series as well, as the Jedi Padawan of Soul. There are other characters that have been seen to be enjoyed by fans as well. As I said above, I don't have many feelings, if any, on the Acolyte for good or for bad. Yet, I do have thoughts on the divide the series is creating between the people who enjoy the series and those who don't. Most of Disney Plus has seen its fair share of people who loved or hated the Star Wars shows, yet the divide this show is creating now has not been reached since the days of the rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi. While some said they gained a newfound appreciation for the modern films, citing their cinematic scale as the biggest appeal, even people who didn't like all of the new shows seem to have taken some comfort that the direction was not going in the same way as the modern films. Yet, with the Acolyte, it seems that the level of discourse that made every conversation regarding the modern movies a heated debate has finally reached the series as well. Across social media, not even a single word can be uttered about the series without someone willing to defend or condemn the series on premise alone. This debate has brought people into the discussion that haven't even talked about Star Wars since Luke Skywalker's return in The Mandalorian, or Hayden Christensen's return in Kenobi. What we have here isn't even a conflict of opinions on how a new piece of Star Wars is being handled. Those have always been around. This is a conflict surrounding not just the people making the creative choices within Lucasfilm, but also many arguments being made that it is time for one side to admit the other has always been wrong. The conversation of what is in the show will eventually fade into a talking point that everyone moves on from, like they always do. But the animosity between fans and the community, and the way they either hate or defend what Star Wars should or shouldn't be, will result in an even more hostile climate till even more lines are crossed. In truth, some people are only talking about the series in defense or criticism because it's guaranteed engagement. That may not be the case for everyone, but for some, that's more than enough reason to jump into the fray. Discussions around Star Wars has been lukewarm, to say the least. While there has been their fair share of haters and lovers of recent media, the discussion has not been as passionate as it was once back in the day during the movies. Likewise with the engagement. Where there is Star Wars, I'm sure there will always be groups fighting over it, but it does seem like, regardless of what groups love or hate Star Wars, it does feel like the groups who talk about the franchise are getting smaller and smaller. Most of just the same names repeating their same talking points of how they agree with the direction Star Wars is going or disagree, and talking about the people who either love or hate it, even more than they talk about the media at this point. So I guess in that sense, even though it seems like everything has changed, nothing has changed at all. Thank you for making it to the end of the video, and thank you for your views. Thank you to Molly, Steffi, M, Lola, Rhea, Jason, the Cloney Boy, all my Patreon and YouTube supporters, my channel manager Chloe, Frank, the FBI agent who judges all my life choices and my internet history, and all of you who commented and watched my videos. No matter what time you're watching this, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'll see you for the next video.